Welcome to Cities, where you'll be building these cute little buildings, stacking them up on top of each other, and if you ever drop them on the floor, stepping on one with your bare foot would be a fate worse than death. Cities is a 2 to 4 player tile laying city builder, where players take on the responsibility of revitalizing a neighborhood by designing new housing, creating a beautiful park and marina, all while collecting endgame objective cards to score as much points as possible. Cities is a relatively simple game that's going to provide, I don't mean this condescendingly, it's going to provide a very quaint experience. You are going to place your worker on a particular row, and then you're going to get whatever it is you cover up. And you can only place one worker per row. So you have some interesting decision space where it's like, okay, do I want to rush that tile that I really want, or do I think that maybe I can forego that for a turn or two and instead pick up the buildings that I want? And that decision space, it is mildly enjoyable. This is not one of those games that has a lot of depth. That is one of the biggest issues I have with it. It's a light game, it's a pleasant game, but it's not one that you feel particularly engaged with every time you play.
I played this game once. We played it in a coffee table, and I was on the phone with a friend the whole time, and I still able to play the whole game fine.
Hey, it is not a game that you need your full brain power for.
Or any brain power for.
Okay, you have some interesting decisions. Like, the game provides public objectives, okay, that are shared amongst players. You know, you can make the decision, okay, do I forego those public objectives and pursue the individual objectives that I pick up throughout the game? Aside from that, nothing here is particularly, you're not hard pressed to come up with the best choices while you're playing. It's not a game that you would see being played competitively, and that's okay, because like I said, it is a chill game. It's one of those games that you play. You don't have to
On the coffee table.
Yeah, on the coffee table.
On the phone with your friend.
Couch, sure. Or like something in the background. Just put some anime on the background. You know, after a hard day's work, you don't want to think too much. This game, it's not entirely engaging, and that's the biggest issue I have with it. There's some neat stuff here. Not a lot that you haven't seen before, aside from maybe, you know, choosing which row you have to draft from. But that it doesn't feel like it's enough to keep me engaged.
The building the city aspect of the game, I like it. I like a lot of low-key games like this. I loved King Domino when we used to play it. It was almost like a daily game for us.
Almost.
Like every time we played games, it was like the nightcap of games.
Perfect game to unwind with.
And this just feels like it added more complexity to it, but not enough to make this strategic type game or a game that will bust out in the middle of the game day. It's still like a first game or last game kind of game. It's very lighthearted. It's easy to play.
I was never excited. I was never really engaged, and I never really felt like I was doing something not necessarily meaningful, but I guess thought-provoking. You know, like at least like mildly strategic. I feel like when I'm playing it, the designer is trying to implement some semblance of fairness. Like, because no matter what you're drafting, you're going to end up with a tile, you're going to end up with an objective card, you're going to end up with some buildings. I think it'd be kind of neat if there was almost like this push your luck to it, where I was like, okay, none of these tiles are that interesting, and I don't think people will want a gun for them. So I'm going to push my luck and double down on these other things that I'm going to be drafting. And then maybe if you guessed wrong, you're screwed, and you end up with no tile. There wasn't a lot here that kept me particularly interested between plays, and we played this a lot more than we probably need to. Cities is a mildly enjoyable, quaint, lighter game. It's not a game. It's a kind of game that you would play once or twice and then perhaps forget about it. You know what I mean? It's sort of like it's the equivalent of putting the television on to watch a TV show because you're bored, and then the next day you couldn't even recap what it is that you watched. It's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It is a game that I could see people having a bit of fun with at a convention, but I can't see it being at those same conventions a few years down the road. I think it's a game that'll fizzle out at some point. I would give Cities a 6. I give Cities a 6.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I do try to approach the game for what it is. I understand that it's a very light game, and it is sort of just an experience of just building your own little city and having fun with that. Yeah, I was kind of wavering between a 5 and a 6, and I landed on a 6.
I'm good at a 5. So for me, when I think of lighter games, I think about situations. Like for all games, I think about what situations would best play this. So even for me, I have a lot of friends that aren't into board games, but they would happily, play more lighter party games. So things that are kind of the fun, exciting stuff in a board game cafe. right? And I cannot see myself pulling this out in a board game cafe. I think this is, like I said, I could play it with on the phone or mindfully doing something else. And if it doesn't grab my attention, I don't want to spend my time playing it. It's not a bad game by any means. I won't necessarily be like, oh no, it's not, someone wants to play it, but it's not memorable. And if it's not memorable, it's not going to be something I gravitate towards.
Yeah, so Tabletop Turtle does not recommend Cities. It is a mildly enjoyable game that you might have a bit of fun with for maybe 1 or 2 plays at a convention, but it is not one that we recommend purchasing. But if you think we're wrong, let us know in the comment section, because that is all for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff. See you later.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.
Guys.